Hey you all, this is Brian and you are watching the Dark Age channel.
Today, I'm rolling out a list of 8 items you really shouldn't be stockpiling for the long run. Get ready, because the number 1 item on this list will stir up some controversy. Now, let's dive into the deep end. These are things you've probably been advised to hoard for those just-in-case scenarios. But honestly, stocking them up might not be the wisest move. I've got my reasons lined up, and I'm all set to walk you through each one. Whether it's due to their shelf life, storage requirements, or just plain impracticality, these items just don't make the cut for your long-term prep plans. From food items that lose their taste and nutritional value over time to those that take up more space than they're worth, I'm going to lay out all the details. This isn't just about what you shouldn't store. It's about smart prepping and making the most of your space and resources. Why waste time and money on things that won't stand the test of time? Instead, focus on items that will really serve you well in the long haul. Stick around as I break down each item and give you the lowdown on why they aren't suitable for your long-term stash. So, let's get started and make sure your stockpile is as efficient and effective as it can be. Number 1. Flour. Brace yourselves because I'm about to drop a bombshell that'll probably land me a ton of hate mail. Flour is not your friend for long-term storage. Shocking, I know, especially since it seems like every prepper swears by stockpiling flour. But here's the truth. Flour just doesn't last that long. You've got about 6 months of shelf life if it's sitting in your pantry. Stick it in the fridge or freezer, and you might stretch that to a year, but that's pushing it. If bugs are a concern in your area, freezing flour right off the bat is a good move. It kills any critters, then keeps it in an airtight container. But remember, storing flour for more than a year is a recipe for disaster. My strategy? I use up my flour and then replenish it, keeping my supply fresh and rotating it regularly. Want a long-term solution for flour? Consider buying wheat berries and grinding your own. And about those massive 25-pound bags of flour, honestly, they're more trouble than they're worth. They don't save you money. I've checked prices at Costco, Walmart, Sam's, and even Amish stores. And they're a pain to handle. So, to all my prepper buddies out there, I'm sorry to burst the flour bubble. But really, for long-term storage, you're better off with canned goods to cover you when you run out of flour and other grains. It's about being practical and not wasting space on stuff that won't last. Number 2. Granola. Granola is another tricky item when it comes to prepping, and definitely not the best choice for long-term storage. The core issue with granola lies in its ingredients, particularly oils and oats, which are prone to rancidity over time. This rancidity not only affects the taste, but can also diminish the nutritional value, making it less desirable as a healthy snack option. When planning your pantry stock, it's crucial to consider the longevity of granola. Typically, it's advisable to keep a supply that you'll consume within 6 to 9 months. Stretching beyond this period often leads to disappointment, as the granola loses its freshness and appealing flavor. This limited shelf life means that investing in large quantities of granola for long-term storage could lead to unnecessary waste of both food and money. Furthermore, granola's susceptibility to moisture and temperature changes adds to its storage challenges. Keeping it in optimal conditions is key, but even then, its shelf life remains relatively short compared to other food items. Therefore, while granola can be a delicious and nutritious addition to your daily diet, it falls short in the long-term storage department. It's better suited for short-term consumption, ensuring you enjoy its taste and nutritional benefits without the risk of it turning rancid. Number 3. Crackers. Next, let's talk about crackers. They're a bit of a tricky choice when it comes to long-term storage. Many preppers might suggest bulking up on them, but there's a catch. Crackers aren't the ideal candidate for your long-term pantry plans. Much like nuts and seeds, crackers are prone to going rancid as time goes by. This is largely due to the flour content in most crackers, which just doesn't fare well over extended periods. The thing with flour-based products like crackers is that they contain oils that can begin to spoil, affecting both taste and texture. When these oils break down, you're left with a snack that's far from appetizing. So, while crackers can be a convenient and tasty option for immediate consumption or short-term needs, they fall short in the longevity department. If you're still considering adding crackers to your emergency stash, it's crucial to monitor their expiration dates closely. Typically, Crackers have a shelf life of around 6 months. Sure, you might be able to stretch that to 9 months or even a year in some cases, but let's be real, you're playing a game of food storage roulette at that point. After their prime time, crackers can lose their crispness and develop an unpleasant, rancid flavor. So, what's the takeaway here? Essentially, while crackers are great for a snack or a quick meal solution in the short term, they're not suited for long-term food storage. Stocking up on them will be more wasteful than beneficial. You don't want to open a box of crackers only to find they've turned stale. Number 4. Oatmeal. Yes, oatmeal, a classic pantry staple, isn't immune to going bad either. Despite its reputation as a filling breakfast choice, my personal experience begs to differ. I mean, is it just me? Or does anyone else find themselves raiding the fridge 10 minutes after a bowl of oatmeal? Even those fancy steel-cut oats don't seem to do the trick for me. But back to the main point, oatmeal's shelf life. It's not one of those items you can stockpile and forget. You really need to keep an eye on the expiration date. My advice? Don't push it past that date. It's all about smart stocking. Figure out how much oatmeal you actually consume within its shelf life, and stick to buying just that amount. Oatmeal might seem like a good candidate for long-term storage, but in reality, it's better to buy it in quantities you'll use before it expires. This way, you avoid the disappointment of finding your oatmeal has gone off when you're in the mood for a quick and easy meal. Number 5. Bisquick and other baking mixes. Next on the list are Bisquick and similar baking mixes, and they're not your friends for long-term storage. Why, you may ask? Well, here's the lowdown. Most of these mixes contain shortening, and just like a lot of the other stuff we've talked about, they can go rancid. So, even though Bisquick and its cousins are super handy for quick baking, they're not something you'd want to load up on for the long haul. When you're out shopping, don't just toss a ton of these mixes into your cart. Instead, check the expiration dates and buy only what you can use up before they go bad. It's all about staying savvy with your pantry space and not ending up with a bunch of spoiled baking mixes when you're in the mood to whip up something. Sure, they're a great go-to for a quick fix in the kitchen, but for long-term planning? Not so much. It's best to keep your stock of Bisquick and other baking mixes aligned with their shelf life to avoid waste and disappointment. Number 6. Peanut butter. Peanut butter is another item that's often hyped up in the prepper community, but here's the real scoop. It's not the immortal pantry staple some make it out to be. The catch with peanut butter is the oil content. While delicious and a staple in many households, peanut butter doesn't have an indefinite shelf life. The oil in peanut butter can lead to rancidity over time. So, despite what you might have heard, stocking up on huge quantities of regular jarred peanut butter isn't the best plan. A good rule of thumb is to only buy what you can consume within 9 months to a year. Post that period, the quality starts to dip, and it begins to turn rancid. Definitely not something you'd want to spread on your toast. However, there's an alternative for long-term planning: dry, dehydrated peanut butter. This variety has the oil removed, which significantly extends its shelf life, making it a more suitable option for those looking to stock up for extended periods. But for regular, creamy peanut butter straight out of the jar, it's best to keep your stock to a reasonable amount that aligns with its shelf life. Number 7. Nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds, while nutritious and delicious, aren't the ideal candidates for long-term storage. The problem with nuts is that they tend to go bad quicker than seeds, but both eventually succumb to rancidity. In their original packaging, nuts can last up to about 6 months. However, if you're thinking about freezing them, you can buy yourself a bit more time, stretching their lifespan to around a year. But once you cross that 1-year threshold, you're looking at nuts that start to taste off due to rancidity. It's a similar story with seeds, although they might fare slightly better than nuts. This rancidity is more than just a taste issue. It's about the oils in nuts and seeds breaking down, which can affect their nutritional value and even make them harmful in the long run. So, stocking up on large quantities with the hope of them lasting for years isn't the best move. If you're planning for the long term, it's wise to consider alternatives or strategies like rotation and regular replenishment. In summary, while nuts and seeds are great for immediate consumption and short-term storage, they fail the test when it comes to long-term food security. Number 8. Chocolate. As amazing as it is, chocolate isn't immune to the laws of food storage, sadly. it's one of those things that, despite how much we love it, isn't ideal for stocking up long term. Chocolate can go bad, and when it does, it separates and loses its delicious appeal. If you're thinking about hoarding chocolate for those just in case, you might want to rethink that. Here's the deal. Chocolate typically has a shelf life of about a year, and that's if you're really stretching it. So, it's wise not to go overboard on stocking up. You don't want to end up with a stash of spoiled chocolate when you're craving something sweet. Just buy enough to satisfy your cravings within that 1 year mark. This way, you get to enjoy your chocolate at its best and avoid wasting it. Remember, even the best things, like chocolate, have their limits when it comes to shelf life. And those are the 10 things you should never stockpile long term. Any other items you believe should have made this list? Let us all know in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, and click on the bell icon too for more of these videos. Thanks for watching and God bless.